Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and today we're going to continue on with the development of our secret underwater lab, which you can see the inside of through the side glass of our 20,000 bricks under the sea cabinet, where there's some testing going on some rather unfortunate swamp creatures. So we need to do some changes to the inside. We need to add the door on so that we can link it up to our sea tunnel that we did earlier that's under construction, and then add a bit more to the rock face so it blends into that background rock face seamlessly, and then add some sea life plants and all the rest of it to the outside. Should look good. Let's get going. But first of all, as always, I want to run through your amendments I suggested from last time. And the first one was just to move the security camera from what was the top left corner to the top right, and that's partially because it is actually spoiling on the inside of the cabinet, but also so it can't see the contents of the secret screens. So I think that's a really good idea. A second one was to add a syringe into the hand of the evil scientist to make him look even more evil and up to no good. So I think that's a really good touch. It's nice and bright as well, so it draws your eye to it. Very good. A third one was to look through my sticker collection, either look for some bubbles for the tank glass or maybe some smashes and cracks. So I've put on a cracked sticker. It was about the only one I could find. That one was from the Ghost Train Express set, 70424 from the hidden side. So I've added that as well. It's quite small and subtle, but anyway, it's a slight improvement. I think you'll agree. But the most common and popular suggestion was to add more swamp creatures to the scene and fill up this otherwise underutilized area above the scientist. So he's completely unaware that two, well, kind of commando type swamp creatures are all geared up, ready to break out their friends. So I really like that idea. It makes the scene a lot more interesting, and as I say, uses that dead space. So they're tooled up to the gills with their harpoon guns, spare arrows, and little breathing regulators. Because as I see it, they can't breathe in regular oxygen, in air, like we'd have in the lab, because they've got gills. So maybe their bodies are full of water, and this is an exchange to get oxygen from the air into that water and keep them going. Kind of like scuba gear, but in reverse. So yeah, I think that makes them look even more fun. And then the ones that will be outside in the water obviously won't need those. So yeah, I think that's an absolutely great set of additions. Thanks very much, and here is your bedoying. Now, as for the name, which I also set you the challenge of, naming what the research company would be, AC Research, I had quite a lot of suggestions actually. Aqua Critters Research, Aquatic Creatures, Aquatic Conspiracy, Aquanautics Consolidated, Aquatica Corp, Atlantis City, Atlantis Construction, Atlantic Creatures, absolutely cool. Absolutely cool research. Yeah, kind of works. Aqua Cryptozoology, Atlantic Cryogenics. So many. Anyway, that's just a selection of them. And I'm probably going to pick the most boring one of all. I'm going to pick Aquatic Creatures because I kind of like that. Aquatic Creature Research. It's very appropriate. Makes a lot of sense. And it explains entirely why they'd be in my deep sea cabinet. So there we go. You are the winners. Here is your bedoying. Right, that's enough of that. Let's get some more bricks in. Right, well, as you may remember from last time, this is kind of in temporary position while I build the central section at the bottom. And that is going to be supporting the round door that the sea tunnel will link up to, of course. And I need that to be based on the 3-4-5 technique. So I've got two jumper plates with studs on here with 1, 2, 3 distance between them that way and 1, 2, 3, 4 distance between them that way, meaning that the distance diagonally is 5. And that will allow me to connect, albeit quite loosely, a panel that will, well, attach this to. And I want it to look like jagged rock around this side and around this side, and then marry up with this, which is on a 45-degree angle above. So essentially how I'm doing that is just concentrating on bit at a time, basically. So this setup of all jagged bits of rock is designed so it fills up all of the space in here. You can see that little bit fitting into that groove and so on. So you really won't be able to see anything other than a solid rock face. So kind of going there, and then you can build it up bit by bit So I've just added the next bit, which is starting to have some connection points for plants and things here, but those big ones will be for the door itself, so it'll kind of be like that. And then this should fit underneath there absolutely perfectly, and then slide in about like that. So bit by bit I'm kind of piecing it together, and when it's all done and we've got plants hanging off in between all these gaps and things like that, I think you won't be able to tell that it really is 1 part, 2 parts and 3 parts there. That's the plan anyway. So yeah, you can start to see it looking quite well disguised already. So yeah, let's keep going with that. The next bit is even more studs to attach the door to, so it's very firm, and I can start to slide that in. Oh no, I've reached a point where I'm going to have to pull this thing back off so I can fit it onto the first of those 2 connection studs. Okay, so this is going to be quite a tight squeeze. Not only have I taken off this and a few of the bricks that were kind of holding it on, but I've actually had to prise up this whole section so it's all teetering at the moment, just so I can squeeze in my new assembly with the door on and all the rocks all the way around, looking very interesting in their shape and texture and even colour, with both of the old greys there as well. And I've even put 3 of the seaweed pieces in those modified bricks, just so we've got some texture around there while we've got good access to it. So these bits should fit in this groove here. These bits should all go flush against this burp over here, and it's quite a fiddly connection. So let's see if I can do that. Oh no, he says that's in. Right, so now I can kind of push this back down, I think, and maybe I've done that prematurely, and that will go there. And I'll have a few other bits to disguise the join, and yeah, that's looking pretty good. And it is on the 3-4-5 angle, so it should marry up, he says, with the sea tunnel perfectly. Hey, in fact, I'm pretty happy with that. It doesn't look bad at all, does it? And we haven't even done this section yet. Awesome. Happy. Good, good. Well, adding this rock face is quite slow work if you want it to look natural. You kind of have to try things and then pull them off and try them again. I'm trying to use big pieces wherever I can, so I've got a old dark grey lerp here, the pointed one. I think it's a lerp, and that's pinned in from above, so we're starting to get some real strength with the rest of the sections. Nothing's wobbling, and I'm bridging the gap in between those 2 bigger pieces with smaller pieces. Then I do want to extend just a little bit out here so it doesn't look too isolated. But I don't want to go too far either, because it's got to marry up with that backdrop, the background of the cabinet, of course. So I'm just going to add a few more big pieces and then bridge them together with little or interesting pieces as well. So I'm going to put that there and do little sub-assemblies that I can kind of add and really build up this wall with lots of connection points and interesting colour changes and angles, which I can put more fish on later. So I'm going to add all of these bits of seaweed onto this bit as well, and it look especially good there in profile against the backdrop. And I've got ones for here, 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 here and here as well, so I'm going to add them. Right, I've moved on to plant life now, because the rock face is finished, and you can see it's unbroken but with interesting sort of inny bits and flat bits and tall bits and all the rest of it, and I think it looks very natural. The proof of the pudding will be when we actually put the sea tunnel up to this, and it should marry with this perfectly. Fingers crossed. But as I say, I've started adding some sea life. So here is a bright red crab. Here is a starfish. I've added a few little sponges on here. This isn't going to be the level that's going to be completely caked in all sorts of coral. That's going to be the lower level with the Silent Mary wreck on it. That'll be absolutely flooded with corals. So this is more sort of sand, seaweed, all the sort of normal sea creatures you'd expect to see, and a few fish. So I'm just going to put 4 of these blue ones on here to make a little shoal, all going the same way as fish tend to do. Safety in numbers and all that. And I've deliberately staggered all the clips, both in height and in left to right. So we've really got an interesting and more natural shape for them. And the blue really stands out. I think I might need to get some more of those bright blue ones because I'm running low already. Got loads of the silvery ones though. Yeah, so that's looking good. Right, I'm going to add some of these quite large pieces because there's a lot of these on the backdrop on that actual bit of plastic that we stuck on the inside of the cabinet. So it'd be good to carry these on this level. And I think I'll have a patch up here. And the great thing about them is you can actually mount something onto the tallest prong by sticking it into the back side of the shark. So we could have a lovely white shark here just going about his business. Oh, you see, that looks very natural and suspended in midair, like he's kind of pushing through the weeds rather than being impaled on one. So if we get another one going, I'll probably have another patch, say down here or something like that, so we can see it against the backdrop, and maybe we'll have a hammerhead one down there. Or maybe I'll flip them around because the white will stand out well down there, whereas the hammerhead will, well, anyone would stand out well right on the top. Anyway, that looks great already. I've got some other sea life I want to introduce. So this is the headpiece from the criminal in the Space Police line, Jawson. So I've actually just taken the headpiece, added a modified brick and some of these lovely fans with the sort of Chinese lettering on, and they look very much like fins if you ask me. So he's a very ugly sort of hatchet-mouthed fish. And I can just add something like this on the underside of him. So we've got an attachment point there, and then maybe I can clip that onto there. This is when it sort of falls apart. Oh no, it's worked. And the good thing about doing things like that is if you get the perspective right, then again, he kind of looks like he's swimming in midair, well, mid-water, like that. But against the backdrop again, standing off from the glass, I think that'll look really good. So he's got a similar colour to that guy, so maybe I'll swap him around, as I say. Then another thing I want, once I've got the tunnel in position, roughly where Robin is, I want to have draped over the top of it a very spectacular beast, and that being a rather large octopus. But this is no ordinary rather large octopus. It is the very rare kind. Now this came in only one set, 8636 Deep Sea Quest from 2008, an agent set. And I'm very lucky in that I've actually got 3 of these. Now, if you know how much they cost nowadays, you'll be your jaw will have just hit the floor. But I didn't buy these recently. I bought these absolutely ages ago. And the last one I bought for £8. And the first one I think I got in that set at a discount as well. But would you believe that these are so much in demand nowadays that they are up to £59? Yep, just for that. The cheapest one in Europe on Bricklink is £59 without postage. And they go way over £100 as well, just for one octopus. Why is that? Well, they only came in that set. They're quite rare. But the most spectacular feature of all, if I get my ultraviolet torch, is that they glow both under UV light. Very good, that, isn't it? But it also retains quite a lot of it because it will actually glow in the dark. So I'm just going to give him a bit of a charge here, and we'll give it a trial run. We'll put it just balanced on there. And I'll turn out my filming lights, which won't be all of the light, but you'll get a good idea. Oh, maybe not enough of an idea. I need to turn off the main body of the room light. But anyway, he's rather spectacular. So I'm looking forward to having this in a very prominent position on here, right above the tunnel itself. So when I turn out the lights for my room, when I go up to bed, I'll be able to see him glowing thoroughly from the room lights that he's been charging on throughout the day. So yeah, that'll be very spectacular indeed. So I'm just going to add this little clip onto here. It says an attachment point. Attach him on there, or maybe on there. There we go. And then, whoop, yep, I think that might be a great place for him. Now, this looks artificially flooded with sea life, but that's the way I like it. I'm going to have this cabinet packed and stacked like everything else that I do. So that's not overstacked at all as far as I'm concerned. In fact, I'm going to add a lot more of these plants, and I'm even going to add some of these sort of lichen type pieces that will be growing all over the rocks as well. But yes, oh, this looks great, and we haven't even attached the tunnel to it yet. And here he is glowing in the dark, and doesn't he look absolutely amazing? Fantastic. I swear these have gone up in price just because I've been doing my cabinet so long. Everyone else has got impatient and decided to get their own going instead. I bet that's true. Alrighty, build done. I've just got to put it in the cabinet and attach the C tunnel, but it's looking good. I absolutely adore this scene that we're going to be able to see from the side perspective of the cabinet with the commando swamp men coming in to save their compatriots. I think it's also good that we can see the tops of all these plants and this hammerhead shark from the side as well. Gives us a really good view. But the main view, of course, is even better with that shark at the very top in amongst all the weeds, and we can just see the crab sort of peeking through. Makes you kind of look around left and right and see what you can see. All these bright ones along here. Nice little clamshell there. Our wonderful glow-in-the-dark octopus. We'll have to name him, I think. And our ugly fish here, Jawson, and the white shark down there. And I think that's a good amount of life all over our rocks. I think it's a good amount of colour. And wow, I just can't wait to get it into the cabinet. So let's do that. And then we can attach the tunnel and see what the whole scene looks like. So the real question is, does the sea tunnel fit perfectly? Of course it does. Yep, it's as if I planned it, isn't it? But doesn't that look absolutely great? We've kind of lost the detail of the dish with the wheel to turn to open a door in there somewhere, but maybe you can see it through a window. But anyway, we've got it coming out of a very interesting angle, attached to the rock and our secret base. It really begs the question, where does it go? And then you can actually peer around the outside of the cabinet and have a peek inside, of course. And the rock does blend in quite well with the backdrop. It was a bit hard to do because when I was planning this backdrop, I obviously knew I was going to have a great big station over here and a smaller one over there, but I didn't know exactly where it would go. But that will end up looking as neat as this side now does, with a small rocky kind of quarter pyramid blending into the backdrop. So you can imagine it keeps going, and then round the corner is obviously that wreck in the distance. Absolutely fantastic. So we've got our shark. I did swap them round at the top. Loads of weeds and a crab. The Jawson fish. You'll have to tell me what the real sort of fish that most resembles is called. A kind of a cave behind there, or rather not a cave, a sort of arch, a natural arch. And then our white shark over here. The wonderful glow-in-the-dark octopus. All the rest of the sea life and fish down there, a little clam. And our ray and other things before. And our building scene, of course, with our mischievous crab with his hammer. So I think that's a really good scene, and it looks very packed and stacked. You can only imagine that this will continue on with other things going on. This has all just been shoved to one side for a moment, but this will have a similar rock face going up all behind it, and detail and all the rest of it. We'll have a lip on the edge of here, and then underneath we won't have a cardboard box, but we will have the Silent Mary on its side probably, and absolutely caked in coral. And there's one more shelf underneath even that for the really mysterious layer. But added to the stuff that we've got on the surface, the oil rig, I've just taken the cable off there briefly because it will go down. I think I'll probably have it landing about there in front of that ray. Our whale, who is absolutely fantastic, isn't he? Beautiful. I see that there's a new one in the Avatar line. It's got some very interesting sort of growths on the front of its lip, but it's an incredibly good whale piece. It almost makes me want to make another one after this one. Anyway, then we've got our crab boat, of course, our ocean exploration vessel with some more fish underneath that, and its shark cage, and even the old sailboat, which I've pretty much sandwiched up against this wall at the moment. I might take that one out in due course. So what is next? Well, I probably want to get the other base finished up on a really detailed rock face like this one. And this time it will be much bigger, kind of steeper there, filling in all this gap and maybe even going around the corner a little bit. And then this most open of layers will almost be done. I'll probably have more submarines and more going on in the middle. But yeah, the potential is great. But this is the first section, I think we can say, that is done, or at least done as a first pass, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving the density of the sea life and of the divers and the sort of yellow and white base and all the rest of it. Cool, let's have a peek around the corner and see what the inside looks like with those extra men. Well, it's quite hard to show you this around the corner and for it to be lit well, but you get the idea with our new commando swamp men saving the day. I think it's a really interesting scene to see from the side, and everything is absolutely pushed up to the glass, both on the back of the cabinet and on the side, and you can even sort of peer over and see the shark and the vegetation and even the tunnel kind of round the corner, so it makes it very interesting indeed. Another wonderful perspective. So as always, thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome LEGO videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, we'll be doing our mall, of course. Well, we may get it finished this Monday, or if not, it will definitely be the last one of two. And we'll be moving right up to the top floor, so I am incredibly excited about that. But until then, see you! Best octopus ever.